My Hero Academia, chapter 242. So this was a good chapter, pretty interesting actually. I think this is just more connective tissue, if you will, like this chapter along with the previous one, and maybe the next one is just going to be bridging us from the villain arc that we just got over into the next arc that we're going to be going into, and I'll be talking about that at the end of the review, but let's get into it. So we're finding out that the Public Safety Commission is straight up demanding that all students participate in an internship from now on, and it's not voluntary like it originally was, and them saying like all means like class 1A and class 1B. Every single student is going to have to do this, and it's definitely because of the fallout from the previous arc, with the whole Deka City incident, because that apparently was a big deal, and they're just like, yeah, we need to get all students, anyone who's trying to be a hero, we need to get them established and move them further along. They're like fast tracking everyone, kind of like throwing everyone into boot camp, like how the draft was, or the draft could be, And they explained it pretty clearly. Their objective is for students to learn how to cope with the organized villain groups, which have been on the rise recently. And this is for many reasons, with the decline of All Might, and now that he's no longer out there, things like this are going to be more common. I mean, we saw the League of Villains, the 8 Precepts of Death, and then recently, whatever they believe happened at Deka City, they feel that this is just going to be recurring, so they need to take countermeasures. Now, of course, that they don't have All Might, and they know that Endeavor, along with the other top 10 heroes, are very vulnerable at this point. I mean, evidently, from what we saw happen with just one single high-end Nomu. Now, of course, everyone else doesn't know that there's other Nomus and all the huge alliance that has just happened with the villains, but still, they're taking the countermeasures that they can. And they do bring up a good point. They're like, even though the heroes are oversaturated at this point, they still need the students to rise to the occasion regardless. And then they also point out that there's like an ambiguity to this whole statement and everything. And it's stated by Nezu that it's because there's someone that they don't want finding out about their plans. And I definitely assume that this is because of Hawks. Hawks is likely relaying this information to the committee, letting them know, like, hey, you got to go about it this way because there's, like, something big is coming. And he's obviously on the inside, and he doesn't want the League of Villains and the Liberation Army to know what's going on. So they're just kind of covering it up as, we're just doing these fun, laid-back internships. It's just a student program thing. No big deal. Nothing to look into. But then Nezu also says that we'll call it a winter break assignment. And I think that's just establishing the time frame that this arc is going to take place. It's just going to fill in that little gap between the end of this year and them going into their second year, because that's going to be a big deal on its own, them being year 2 students. So this isn't going to conflict with that, and they're also kind of not getting a break, I guess, but it's fine. They need all the training they can get, especially given the circumstances of the climate that they're in right now. But then Nezu also says, and Aizawa, in addition to the Public Safety Commission, that program I mentioned, and then in ellipses, I'm not sure what he's talking about here. Maybe I missed something earlier. I mean, they didn't talk about this in the previous chapter, so maybe they were talking about this before the villain arc started? Or maybe this is just a new development. But regardless, something is going on with Aizawa. I remember back in the joint training arc, there was some focus put on him, at least after the joint training arc was over, talking about his past and whatnot. So something big might be coming for Aizawa, like a further character arc to him or something. But then after that, a big surprise here in that they touch on the traitor. Something that hasn't been talked about, I think, since it's been established. Like, when they talked about it way back in, season 2 or season 3? And then it just sent the whole fandom into a whirlwind of theories and everything, but it's never been talked about since then, and it's kind of become a meme at this point, where people are just like, Horikoshi forgot about the traitor. But I guess he hasn't. And maybe this is just him showing that, like, hey, I haven't forgot about it, guys. The traitor is still a thing. Or maybe it isn't. Because Nezu says, it's been 4 months since they moved into the dorms, and there's been no suspicious activity. So that means there isn't a spy among the students. And then All Might kind of backs him up. He's like, all of the students in UA hero class have a hero's heart. So he's kind of enabling Nezu here. Maybe even enabling the audience, us. Maybe Horikoshi is trying to like throw us off here by saying that there is no spy. But I'm going to tell you right now, this definitely means that there is a traitor. And who I think it is, it could be a few people. And I really want to make a video about this, even though it's been talked about to death by all the other YouTubers. But I do think that there definitely is a traitor, and I know who it is for sure, or at least, I assume who it is. And I'll just say that it's not Kaminari. Kaminari is not the traitor, but I think it is a student in Class 1A. So now that this has been brought to light again, it's possible that this might be touched on in this arc. So I'm not going to say this is going to be revealed, because it seems like Horikoshi wants this to be like a slow burn, but there might be some more suspicious things that happen. Things that lead the villains, or the League of Villains, or the Liberation Army, or we should just call them the Paranormal Liberation Front, or whatever their new name is. Something might happen to their benefit in this further arc, maybe with whatever's going to happen with Endeavor, or maybe it's going to lead to the eventual demise of All Might, and then it's going to be revealed like, oh, there is a traitor, because, it would be weird if there wasn't. I think this is just setting that up. So then we have this nice little Christmas party between all of the students, and this is nice for the characters in the story, of course, but it's also nice for the readers, because, we came off of that super dark arc, the darkest moment in the series easily, so it's nice to have some levity here, brighten things up. And this is going to be nice for the anime too, and all of the casuals. I know that they are going to enjoy this whole sequence of events, because this is one of the strong points of this series. How it juggles the tones and the themes of the way that the characters and the story progresses. This is one of the nice aspects of it, because we also got this, back with the festival arc. But during this, it's also revealed that Centipeder has taken over for Night Eye and his agency, and Bubble Girl's under him and everything, and that's pretty cool to get confirmation on. But it's also just cutting off the whole storyline, or the possibility of Izuku interning with him, because he's like, no, I'm just way too busy to take you on. So it's like, okay, we don't have to worry about that. Izuku's not going to go with him. Also, a little fun fact about Centipeder, he was like a fan creation. Horikoshi had this contest, and for people to choose what quirk and character were to fill that slot for him, and he chose the Centipeder ideas. Maybe that's common knowledge. I'm not really sure, just in case you didn't know. And then we're going to Bakugo, who's reflecting on Best Jeanist and everything that he taught him, and the wise words and advice that he took in. It seems like he's retained it, which is interesting and good, because it's further developing Bakugo as a character, but it's also touching on Best Jeanist, who is missing, of course, and may or may not be dead. Because we see that it is common knowledge. We already kind of knew that, but even the hero, or the students at least, are aware of it, because we see Bakugo looking at the laptop, or whatever he has, the tablet, and it says Best Jeanist is missing. But I think it's a little odd that we haven't seen the staff talk about this yet. But like I said, it's up in the air right now. It's not confirmed, but the fact that this is happening, with Bakugo remembering that Best Jeanist told him, hey, when you develop your hero name, come back and tell me it in your second year. So this could mean that Bakugo is eventually going to reunite with Best Jeanist, and that he isn't dead, and this is going to be fulfilled. Or he is dead, and this is going to give Bakugo a reason to have beef with Hawks. Because if he is dead, it's obviously going to come out that Hawks took him out. Regardless of the motive or why he needed to do it, he still did it. But also, we're touching on Bakugo's name here again. And this is another thing that's been lingering out there, along with the traitor, and something that we also thought Horikoshi might have forgotten about. And we thought that this might have came to light when we saw that Bakugo had finally got his provisional license. We thought maybe we were going to see it on there, but no, we haven't. But it appears that maybe he hasn't decided on his name yet. But, we assumed that you kind of had to. If you were going to get the provisional license, maybe you needed to have a name on it. But I don't know. It remains to be seen. But I think Horikoshi is just letting us know that, hey, this is still a lingering thing out there. But the fact that they're putting so much emphasis on this makes me think that it might be something that we don't expect it to be. Because it's probably not going to be explosion, murder, lord, all of the different things that he says. He might pull an Izuku here. And he might use, Kachan as his hero name. That's a possibility. That would be a huge development in his character if he were to just let his guard down like that and accept something like that. But, it remains to be seen, but I think there's a lot of emphasis put on this for a reason. It is going to be something special, something significant, something that we don't really expect. So then we go through the whole cute Eri Santa thing, and she's confused about the traditions of the holiday, and then we go into their gift exchange thing. But then we end the chapter on a huge bombshell, which, like I said in the beginning, is setting up the next arc, which is going to be incredible. And Todoroki's like, look, if you guys got nowhere to go, then why don't you come with me and intern with the #1 hero, which of course is Endeavor. And this is incredible, because we're getting the big three, the future big three, Todoroki, Bakugo, and Izuku, all together, along with Endeavor, who has had a redemption. You know, the story has focused on all of these characters recently, and now that they're all coming together, it seems almost a little too good to be true. You know, having these three significant characters come together with, like I said, the character who just got a redemption, who just had an arc devoted to him. Now they're all coming together, and they're all getting focus. I can't wait to see where this goes. I have no idea who they're going to fight. I don't think it's going to be the villains or the Liberation Army, because we just, you know, we had so much focus on them. I think Horikoshi maybe wants to go away from them for a little bit. Maybe let the storm pass over and then let them come back when you feel that everything's okay. So they're probably going to go into something different, you know, like the 8 Precepts of Death. They kind of just came out of nowhere. So maybe it's just going to be something like that. It remains to be seen, of course, but I do think for sure this is going to be the next arc. The big three interning with Endeavor. And it's going to be amazing. It might be the best arc we've seen so far, given that we just have these 4 super important characters finally coming together. But let me know what you think about it. What are your theories on what's going to happen with this next arc? And if you liked it, please give it a like. I also have a Patreon. It gives you access to a weekly Q&A. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.